The Champions League final is the pinnacle of club football. This historic competition went through a rebrand back in 1993, and in the 32 years since then, we've witnessed some of the best football matches to have ever been played. With the 2025 Champions League final just a few weeks away, PSG or Inter Milan will write their names in the history books as they follow in the footsteps of some of the most legendary clubs to have ever played in the competition. Today, we're taking a look at every Champions League final since 1993 to see which finals have stood the test of time and which matches have faded away in the memories of most football fans. There is no sporting event quite like the Champions League final, so let's go ahead and rank them all. Starting in the F tier, the only match to be ranked this low is the 2003 Champions League final between Juventus and AC Milan. The all-Italian matchup took place at Old Trafford in Manchester, England, but even with two star-studded lineups on both sides of the pitch, the match did not deliver. The only notable highlights in the first 120 minutes were some solid saves from both Dida and Gianluigi Buffon, but neither side were able to create any clinical chances that would have opened up this match. The penalty shootout wasn't much better, with Trezeguet missing the opening penalty, followed by 4 missed penalties in a row from the second to the 4th round. In the end, it would be Andrei Shevchenko's penalty that would lead Milan to European glory. But for the 62,000 fans in attendance and the hundreds of millions watching at home, this match was incredibly lackluster. The 2003 Champions League final is one that most of us wouldn't want to revisit, and it goes into the F tier today. Next up in the D tier, the first 3 matches are the 1993 Champions League final between Marseille and AC Milan, the 1998 Champions League final between Juventus and Real Madrid, and the 2019 Champions League final between Tottenham and Liverpool. Marseille's victory in the inaugural Champions League final is still to this day the only time a French side has won the tournament, but the match itself wasn't the most exciting. The match was a tight affair from the beginning, and the only goal of the match came from a set-piece play that saw Basile Boli's header finding the back of the net just before halftime. Even with a star-studded squad with Marco van Basten, Frank Rijkaard, and Paolo Maldini, the Italian side did very little on the offensive side of the ball, with Marseille defending for their lives in the second half. The underdog story that followed this win quickly became overshadowed by a match-fixing scandal, and while they did pull off a miracle result, Marseille's win in 1993 just isn't very memorable in the grand scheme of things. The same can be said for the 1998 Champions League final, which saw Juventus and Real Madrid battle it out at the Amsterdam Arena in the Netherlands. A match that saw Madrid aiming to win the tournament for the first time in 32 years and Juventus' 3rd straight final. The hype surrounding this game did not translate to quality football on the pitch. The first half wasn't so bad, with Juventus holding on to possession and Real Madrid looking to threaten on the counterattack, but the deadlock would remain going into halftime. The only goal of the match came from Predrag Mijatovic in the 66th minute, and even that goal was shrouded with controversy as he looked to be slightly offside before the goal went in. All in all, the 1998 Champions League final failed to live up to the hype, and with a potentially controversial goal to finish things off, it doesn't stand out when compared to other finals. The same can be said for the 2019 Champions League final, which saw Tottenham and Liverpool square off at the Wanda Metropolitano Stadium in Madrid, Spain. The match got off to a very fiery start, with Moussa Sissoko being penalized for a handball after just 22 seconds, which most people argue was a soft call. Mohamed Salah's penalty goal in the 2nd minute was thought to be the event that set the tone for this match, but not much else happened afterwards, with Spurs holding on to possession. Tottenham had the better second half as they threatened to score, but with Divock Origi's goal in the 87th minute, the match would end as a 2-0 victory for Liverpool instead. Considering the fact that the match started and ended in exciting fashion, it's unfortunate that everything in between was rather sluggish and forgettable. Continuing on in the D tier, the final 3 matches are the 2020 Champions League final between PSG and Bayern Munich, the 2021 Champions League final between Manchester City and Chelsea, and the 2023 Champions League final between Manchester City and Inter Milan. The 2020 final took place at the Estadio da Luz in Lisbon, Portugal, and considering the fact that the game was played behind closed doors, there was very little hype surrounding this match. The Parisian side had multiple chances to score in the first half, but Manuel Neuer's heroics would deny both Neymar and Mbappe from breaking the deadlock. The German side came alive in the second half, but apart from Kingsley Coman's header in the 59th minute, the chances that did come in this match were few and far between. It was a great result for Bayern Munich, a heartbreaking loss for PSG, and an all-around snooze fest for the fans watching at home. Things didn't get much better in the 2021 Champions League final that took place at the Estadio do Dragão in Porto, Portugal, but at least there were some fans in the crowd this time around. The first half saw both teams doing their best to break one another's defensive line, and Kai Havertz did exactly that with a great run and finish in the 42nd minute. The second half was a tough watch for Manchester City and their fans, with De Bruyne going off injured and Mahrez just narrowly missing the target in stoppage time. Apart from N'Golo Kante, who deserved to win the Man of the Match award, this tactical chess match wasn't the most entertaining for the neutral fans out there. The same goes for the 2023 Champions League final that took place at the Ataturk Olympic Stadium in Istanbul, Turkey. This time around, Manchester City faced off against Inter Milan, Milan, and luck was truly on their side in this match. The first half was not nice to the English side, with Kevin De Bruyne going off injured yet again in the 36th minute. The second half saw Rodri score a wonder goal in the 68th minute to give City the lead, but with some huge misses from DeMarco and Lukaku for Inter, the match ended as a 1-0 victory for the boys in blue. The goal itself is the redeeming factor here, but with few chances and long spells of possession that went nowhere, this match will fail to stand the test of time. These 6 matches failed to deliver the high-octane football that is expected of a Champions League final, so they go into the D tier today. Moving on to the C tier, the first 3 matches are the 1995 Champions League final between Ajax and AC Milan, the 1996 Champions League final between Ajax and Juventus, and the 2000 Champions League final between Real Madrid and Valencia. The 1995 Champions League final took place at the Ernst-Happel-Stadion in Vienna, Austria, and this match was a true example of old school versus new school. The defending champions AC Milan had a superstar backline made up of Maldini, Baresi, and Desailly, while Ajax had homegrown youngsters in Van der Sar, Seedorf, Davids, and Kluivert. While the 90 minutes didn't feature a plethora of chances, the fact that Ajax were holding their ground against the reigning champions was a spectacle to witness. The deadlock would eventually be broken by Patrick Kluivert in the 85th minute, and with his precise effort finding the back of the net, the Dutch side would come away with a shocking 1-0 victory. In a David versus Goliath matchup like this one, it was the young, energetic Ajax side that came out on top in a match that still lingers in the memories of true football fans. The 1996 Champions League final was yet another Dutch versus Italian final, with Ajax and Juventus facing off at the Stadio Olimpico in Rome, Italy. This match was much more lively in the first half, with Fabrizio Ravanelli scoring in the 13th minute for Juventus, followed by Jari Litmanen's goal just before halftime. However, both sides were much more cautious after the break, and the match was still tied at 1-1 after 120 minutes. With Edgar Davids and Sonny Siloy missing their penalties, Juventus would go on to win the match by a 4-2 scoreline after penalties, giving them their first Champions League title since 1985. While it wasn't the worst match in the history of the competition, it certainly wasn't the flashiest either. The same goes for the 2000 Champions League final, which saw Real Madrid and Valencia battle it out at the Stade de France in Saint-Denis, France. The first ever all-Spanish final was great for national pride, but the match itself was incredibly one-sided, going the way of the Galacticos. Fernando Morientes opened the scoring in the 39th minute, which anyone could have seen coming given how dominant Madrid were in the first half. Steve McManaman's incredible volley in the 67th minute and Raul's counterattack goal in the 75th minute propelled Madrid to victory as they came away with a 3-0 win over a Valencia side that never really posed a threat. A solid performance from the Real Madrid side, but too one-sided to really be considered amongst the greatest games. Continuing on in the C tier, the next 3 matches are the 2007 Champions League final between AC Milan and Liverpool, the 2010 Champions League final between Bayern Munich and Inter Milan, and the 2022 Champions League final between Liverpool and Real Madrid. The 2007 Champions League final took place at the Olympic Stadium in Athens, Greece, but it wasn't the rematch of the 2005 final that we all expected it to be. The first half ended somewhat controversially, with Pirlo's free kick bouncing off of Inzaghi's arm and finding the back of the net. He redeemed himself in the 82nd minute with his lovely finish that beat Pepe Reina, and with Dirk Kuyt's consolation goal coming in the 89th minute, the match ended as a 2-1 victory for the Italian side. While this match didn't live up to the hype that came 2 years earlier, it was a solid showing from both sides and an interesting tactical battle between 2 of Europe's best teams. The same goes for the 2010 Champions League final that saw Bayern Munich and Inter Milan face off at the Santiago Bernabeu in Madrid, Spain. With Jose Mourinho's defensive mindset for Inter Milan and Louis van Gaal's possession-based Bayern Munich side, this clash of footballing ideologies produced a solid match. Diego Milito's man of the match performance saw him score 2 beautiful goals in both the 35th and 70th minute as he carved through the German defense with ease. With just 6 attempts on target to go alongside 16 fouls, Bayern Munich failed to show up on the world's biggest stage, and they were truly punished for it. Overall, Inter Milan fought hard for this victory, and it turned out to be a solid final game for everyone who tuned in. The following match in this list took place in the 2022 Champions League final, with Liverpool taking on Real Madrid at the Stade de France in Saint-Denis, France. This match was defined by Thibaut Courtois putting up one of the best goalkeeping performances in the tournament's history, as he stopped 9 total shots on target, with 5 of them coming in the first half. Real Madrid eventually got on the score sheet with a tap-in at the back post from Vinicius Jr., and that would be the only goal in this match. While the scoreline may have been low, we got to witness a once-in-a-lifetime goalkeeping effort, and no matter how much Liverpool tried, they simply couldn't break Madrid down. And finally, to finish off the C tier, we have the 2024 Champions League final between Dortmund and Real Madrid. The most recent final and the last tournament to feature the group stage format was incredibly similar to the 2022 final. The German side failed to control possession in the first half, but with some incredible attempts from Adeyemi and Füllkrug, Dortmund were truly pressuring their Spanish counterparts. Real Madrid did a great job to weather the storm, and their efforts were rewarded in the second half when 2 goals from Carvajal and Vinicius Jr. gave them a comfortable 2-0 win over Dortmund. A match that is more remembered for Dortmund's failures rather than Madrid's achievements, but still memorable nonetheless. All things considered, these 7 matches had their fair share of special moments, so they go into the C tier for now. Moving on to the B tier, the first 3 matches are the 2001 Champions League final between Bayern Munich and Valencia, the 2004 Champions League final between AS Monaco and FC Porto, and the 2006 Champions League final between Barcelona and Arsenal. The 2001 Champions League final took place at the San Siro in Milan, Italy, and both Bayern Munich and Valencia were looking for redemption. The first 10 minutes were filled with chaos, with Mendieta scoring a penalty for Valencia in the 3rd minute, while Mehmet Scholl missed a penalty for Bayern Munich in the 7th minute. The German side found their equalizing goal in the 50th minute, with Effenberg's penalty beating the Spanish goalkeeper. The rest of the match was a tight affair, but neither side could find another goal, and after 120 minutes, the match was headed to penalties. Neither team did particularly well in the shootout, but with Oliver Kahn stepping up and making 3 crucial saves, Bayern went on to win by a 5-4 scoreline. A match that started off strong and finished even stronger. This match deserves to be talked about more. The same goes for the 2004 Champions League final that took place at the Arena auf Schalke in Gelsenkirchen, Germany, between underdogs AS Monaco and FC Porto. This match could have gone any which way, but the Portuguese side stepped up and took their chances with relative ease. A powerful shot from Carlos Alberto from inside the box, a close-range finish from Deco, and a thunderous strike from Elenichev sealed the deal for Porto on what is undoubtedly the best day in the club's history. Porto were clearly the stronger team in this game, and despite Monaco's best efforts to break their defensive line, the Portuguese side played to a level that many people wouldn't have expected. A great game from start to finish to go alongside an even better underdog story. Moving on to a much closer game, the 2006 Champions League final saw Barcelona and Arsenal square off at the Stade de France in Saint-Denis, France. The first half was a rollercoaster ride for the English side, as their goalkeeper Jens Lehmann received the first ever red card in the Champions League final for his challenge on Samuel Eto'o. Their replacement goalie Manuel Almunia made some solid saves, and in the 37th minute, Sol Campbell's header found the back of the net, giving them a 1-0 lead at halftime. Barcelona weren't going to let this match slip away from them, and within just 4 minutes they would get 2 goals from Samuel Eto'o and Juliano Belletti, giving them a 2-1 lead. Arsenal tried their best to mount a comeback, but the match would end with that exact scoreline, giving Barcelona their first Champions League title since 1992. A back-and-forth match with plenty of drama and excitement on the pitch. This match won't be forgotten anytime soon. Continuing on in the B tier, the final 2 matches are the 2009 Champions League final between Barcelona and Manchester United, and the 2016 Champions League final between Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid. The 2009 Champions League final saw Barcelona and Manchester United battle it out at the Stadio Olimpico in Rome, Italy, with Messi and Ronaldo taking center stage. Barcelona wasted no time getting on the score sheet, with Eto'o's brilliant solo effort coming in the 10th minute, followed by an unbelievable header from Messi in the 70th minute. Barcelona controlled possession while disrupting any rhythm that United came up with, and Xavi and Iniesta dictated play from the midfield with a level of class that we rarely see these days. It may not have been the most dramatic final, but the precision and control of this Barcelona side was a spectacle to behold. And to round things off, the 2016 Champions League final saw Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid square off at the San Siro in Milan, Italy. While it may not have been as dramatic as their previous encounter in 2014, both sides played some incredible football that led to a memorable match. Sergio Ramos opened the scoring in the 15th minute, but his goal was shrouded in controversy as it should have been called back for offside. Antoine Griezmann's penalty miss in the 48th minute made the match even more tense, but Yannick Carrasco's goal in the 79th minute gave the Atletico supporters some hope. While the match was stuck at 1-1 after 90 minutes, extra time did not produce much, and penalties were awaiting the 2 Spanish sides. Juanfran's miss on Atletico's 4th kick would prove to be costly, and with Ronaldo converting Real Madrid's final spot kick, the match would end as a 5-3 victory for the men in white. Real Madrid proved to the world that they were the best team from the Spanish capital once again, and Atletico Madrid would have to endure heartbreak for the 2nd time in 3 years. These 5 matches were incredibly entertaining in their own rights, as they find themselves in the B tier today. Starting things off in the A tier, the first 3 matches are the 1994 Champions League final between AC Milan and Barcelona, the 1997 Champions League final between Dortmund and Juventus, and the 2002 Champions League final between Leverkusen and Real Madrid. The 1994 Champions League final saw an underdog AC Milan side take on the Barcelona Dream Team at the Olympic Stadium in Athens, Greece. The Italian side wasted no time getting on the score sheet, and with 2 goals coming from Daniele Massaro in the 22nd and 45th minute, Milan took a dominant 2-0 lead going into halftime. Barcelona did everything they could to get back in this match, but some brilliant midfield play led to Milan scoring 2 more goals in the second half, as the match ended with a 4-0 victory for the Italians. It was a true display of tactical brilliance from Fabio Capello that was orchestrated to perfection by his players, ending in a victory that few people could have predicted. It may have been a one-sided affair, but when you play football as well as Milan did that night, it deserves to go down in sporting history. The next match on this list is the 1997 Champions League final that saw Dortmund and Juventus face off at the Olympiastadion in Munich, Germany. This game was the definition of a back-and-forth match, and even though Juventus were the heavy favorites, Dortmund put up an all-time performance. Dortmund took control the first half, with Karl-Heinz Riedel netting a brace in the 29th and 34th minute, leaving the Italians stunned as they went into halftime. Juventus got a goal back from Alessandro Del Piero in the 65th minute, and it seemed like the comeback was well and truly on for the Italians. In the end, it would be substitute Lars Ricken who would score a beautiful chip shot over the opposing goalkeeper, as Dortmund went on to win the match by a 3-1 scoreline. This match was full of goals, end-to-end action, and a crazy underdog victory, and it deserves to be remembered as an all-time great match in this tournament. Moving on to the 2002 Champions League final, final, Bayer Leverkusen and Real Madrid played out a thrilling game at Hampden Park in Glasgow, Scotland. This match is remembered as the game that saw the greatest goal in Champions League history being scored, but there was also plenty of action elsewhere on the pitch. Raul opened the scoring for Madrid in the 8th minute after a quick throw-in, but Leverkusen responded quickly with a goal from Lucio in the 13th minute from a powerful header. Just before halftime, Zinedine Zidane struck a beautiful left-footed volley into the top corner, stunning the entire stadium and cementing his legacy in footballing folklore. The second half saw Leverkusen pressuring as hard as possible, but a young Iker Casillas made some crucial saves to keep his side in the game. With the final whistle of the match, Madrid went on to win by a 2-1 scoreline, breaking Leverkusen hearts after lifting their 9th European title. A game that saw some incredible offense in the first half and some stellar defense in the second half, this match will never be forgotten. Continuing on in the A tier, the next 3 matches are the 2008 Champions League final between Manchester United and Chelsea, the 2012 Champions League final between Bayern Munich and Chelsea, and the 2013 Champions League final between Dortmund and Bayern Munich. The 2008 Champions League final saw Manchester United and Chelsea play out an all-time classic at the Luzhniki Stadium in Moscow, Russia. The all-English matchup had the makings of a great game before the opening whistle, with the rain and tension in Moscow being felt by fans around the world. Cristiano Ronaldo opened the scoring in the 26th minute with a header, but Frank Lampard's equalizer just before halftime brought the game level at 1-1. The second half and extra time weren't enough to separate the two sides, and just before penalties, Didier Drogba's red card changed the whole complexion of the match. Ronaldo went on to miss United's third penalty, but with John Terry's infamous slip and Anelka's final shot being saved, the Red Devils emerged as champions after a 6-5 victory on penalties. A match that was filled with high-quality football, plenty of physicality, and an extremely close penalty shootout, this game will be remembered for generations to come. The same can be said for the 2012 Champions League final, which saw Bayern Munich and Chelsea face off at the Allianz Arena in Munich, Germany. With Bayern playing in their own backyard and with Chelsea fielding an interim manager, it should have been a walk in the park for the German side. It took 83 minutes for someone to make a breakthrough in this match, but Thomas Muller's header would eventually beat Petr Cech in stunning fashion. The match did not end there, and with Didier Drogba scoring a header on Chelsea's first corner, the match was now headed to extra time. The match was almost won in the extra frame, but with Robben's penalty being famously saved by Cech, the match was heading to a penalty shootout. Juan Mata went on to miss Chelsea's opening penalty, but with Olic and Schweinsteiger missing for Bayern, Chelsea came away with a shocking 4-3 win on penalties. Even with the game starting off slow, some late drama, a penalty save in extra time, and a thrilling shootout made for one of the most memorable finals in recent memory. The same can be said for the 2013 Champions League final, which saw Dortmund and Bayern Munich battle it out at Wembley Stadium in London, England. The all-German final was expected to deliver some high-intensity and technically brilliant football, and that's exactly what we got. The match truly opened up in the second half, and with goals from Mandzukic in the 60th minute and Gundogan in the 68th minute, the match was truly alive at this point. It seemed as if the game would go to extra time, but with a dramatic goal from Arjen Robben in the 89th minute, the match ended as a thrilling 2-1 victory for Bayern Munich. With some great goalkeeping performances from both sides and some outstanding midfield play, this match will always remain in the memory of football fans around the world. Continuing on in the A tier, the final 3 matches are the 2015 Champions League final between Juventus and Barcelona, the 2017 Champions League final between Juventus and Real Madrid, and the 2018 Champions League final between Real Madrid and Liverpool. The 2015 Champions League final saw Juventus and Barcelona play out a thrilling match at the Olympiastadion in Berlin, Germany. The match got off to a very quick start, with Ivan Rakitic opening the scoring for the Spaniards in the 4th minute from close range. Juventus had a quick response after the halftime break, with Morata tucking away a rebound shot, bringing the game level at 1-1. Barcelona played some incredible football after that, and with Suarez scoring in the 68th minute and Neymar getting a goal at the end of stoppage time, the match ended as a 3-1 victory for the Spanish side. Both teams had plenty of chances in this match, and with Barcelona's attacking trio playing at the peak of their powers, this was one of the most entertaining games of the last decade. Another great match came in the 2017 Champions League final when Juventus and Real Madrid faced off at the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff, Wales. Ronaldo's clinical counterattack in the 20th minute opened the scoring, but with a gorgeous overhead volley from Mario Mandzukic, the match went into halftime at 1-1. The second half was filled with action, with Casemiro and Ronaldo getting goals of their own, followed by a red card for Cuadrado and one late goal from Marco Asensio. The 4-1 scoreline may indicate that the match was a rout, but with Madrid's clinical offense covering through the rock-solid defense of Juventus, it made for some action-packed football. It was an all-time performance from a dominant Real Madrid side and the centerpiece of their historic three-peat achievement. The same can be said for the 2018 Champions League final, which saw Real Madrid and Liverpool square off at the NSC Olympijski Stadium in Kiev, Ukraine. While this match will always be remembered for the goalkeeping errors from Liverpool, the football itself was incredible from start to finish. The first half was filled with chances for both sides, but the most notable event was Mo Salah's injury that was caused by Sergio Ramos, which altered the course of the match. The second half saw Benzema score one of the most comical goals in Champions League history, but Sadio Mane had no problem tying up the game just 4 minutes later. Gareth Bale unlocked some superhuman powers after that, and with a superb bicycle kick in the 63rd minute and a long-range effort in the 83rd minute, the match ended as a 3-1 victory for Madrid. You can say what you will about how the goals were scored in this match, but with a crucial injury, some incredible solo performances, and plenty of drama until the end, this game simply cannot be forgotten about. These 9 matches matches are some of the most iconic and dramatic matches in Champions League history, so they go into the A tier today. And finally, we make it to the S tier, where the first two matches are the 1999 Champions League final between Manchester United and Bayern Munich and the 2005 Champions League final between AC Milan and Liverpool. The 1999 Champions League final saw Manchester United and Bayern Munich battle it out at the Camp Nou in Barcelona, Spain. The match opened up with a goal for Bayern Munich in the 6th minute, with Mario Basler scoring a beautiful free kick into the bottom right corner to give the Germans a 1-0 lead. The game turned into a chess match between the two sides for the next 80 minutes, but two substitutions from Manchester United would alter the course of Champions League history forever. With the Bayern Munich players preparing to celebrate before the final whistle, Teddy Sheringham's goal in the first minute of stoppage time brought the game level at 1-1, which shocked the entire world. The game was seconds away from heading to extra time, but with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's flick into the top right corner, United came away with an impossible 2-1 victory in this match. There are very few games in history that have produced the same level of drama and intensity like this match did, and it's easily on the Mount Rushmore of Champions League finals. The crown jewel of Champions League finals came back in 2005 when AC Milan and Liverpool put out one of the best football matches of all time at the Ataturk Olympic Stadium in Istanbul, Turkey. The match was entirely dominated by Milan in the first half, with Maldini scoring in the first minute and Crespo grabbing a brace just before halftime, putting the Italians in a dominant position. However, the second half of this match proved to be one of the greatest and most dramatic comebacks in Champions League history. In the space of 6 minutes, Steven Gerrard, Vladimir Smicer, and Xabi Alonso scored 3 goals to bring the score level at 3-3, which would last until the 120th minute mark. The penalty shootout was also filled with drama, with Serginho and Pirlo missing Milan's first 2 shots, while Ariza missed Liverpool's 3rd penalty attempt. Shevchenko stepped up to take Milan's 5th penalty, and with his shot being saved by Dudek, Liverpool went on to grab a truly impossible 3-2 victory on penalties. This match is without a doubt the best Champions League final of all time, and no other final will ever be able to top the drama, excitement, and intensity of this one. Continuing on in the S tier, the final 2 matches are the 2011 Champions League final between Barcelona and Manchester United and the 2014 Champions League final between Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid. The 2011 Champions League final saw Barcelona and Manchester United fight it out at Wembley Stadium in London, England. This match was easily one of the best club performances of all time, and Barcelona did an incredible job of dismantling a dominant United side. The first half was packed with action, with Pedro scoring the opener in the 27th minute, followed by a beautiful goal from Wayne Rooney in the 34th minute. Barcelona took control of this match in the second half, with Messi scoring in the 54th minute and David Villa scoring a wonder goal in the 69th minute, giving the Spaniards a dominant 3-1 victory. It was a tactical masterclass from Guardiola's side, and with Messi, Iniesta, and Villa playing at an unstoppable level, this match will go down in sporting history. And to end things off, the final match in this ranking is the 2014 Champions League final between Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid, which took place at the Estadio da Luz in Lisbon, Portugal. This was the first time in history that 2 teams from the same city met in the final, and it was nothing short of spectacular. Atletico were the stronger side in the first half, and Diego Godin's goal in the 36th minute would give them a 1-0 lead going into the break. The second half saw Real Madrid dominate possession, and with just seconds left to go, Sergio Ramos' towering header found the back of the net, which would force extra time. That goal took the life out of the Atletico players, and with Bale, Marcelo, and Ronaldo scoring in the extra frame, the match ended as a 4-1 win for the men in white. One of the most tense, dramatic, and interesting finals of all time, Atletico's loss in the 2014 final still haunts them to this day, while Real Madrid's dynasty began with this incredible victory. These 4 matches are the absolute best of the best when it comes to the Champions League, so they go into the S tier today. So there you have it, we ranked all 32 matches in the history of the Champions League final. Each one of these games has their own special place in footballing history, and they truly showcase the absolute pinnacle of this amazing sport. While some finals may not have been as entertaining as others, there's no denying that it doesn't get better than the Champions League final. This is the best club competition on the planet, and even with a new format this season, I'm convinced that these matches will continue to deliver on the world's biggest stage. The Champions League final will always be the fan favorite on the calendar, and there's plenty more to come from this historic tournament. But what did you think of my Champions League final rankings? Which one of these games is your favorite, and do you think this year's final will live up to the hype? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more football content, tier lists, and everything in between, and as always, I'll catch you next time.